Welcome back to United TV. We've just watched Manchester United lose the first game of the season versus Hull City. First thing, congratulations, Hull. Difficult thing to get promoted to the Premier League and start off on a winning route, but very impressive performance from Hull. But it does open massive amount of questions for Manchester United. This was going to be the first game where we would scrutinise the team. Pre-season has been a bit up and down. And this is a call-in show for people asking about if this is a call-in show. And I just see Tyrone say that. This is the call-in show. You can join, have your say. We usually get 4 or 5 callers on, but we're going to get people on. Dylan will be joining very shortly. But this is one where, come on, have your say. Let me know what you think about the first game of the season for Manchester United. After after Arsenal won very comfortably last night against Coventry City, I think a lot of fans were expecting Man United to definitely hit the ground running, but it was pretty poor. And set pieces did Man United better in the second half, but Hull did what they've been doing all last season. They took their chances, they got 2 goals, they then managed the game effectively. I don't think Man United really put them under massive problems like they should have done, but it's frustrating. I'm going to take a few callers. We will get a guest host on who's just logging in now, but we'll take a couple of callers as well. We're going to get Jeff on to start with. If anybody else wants to join, and I'll just say with this, Matty says, we're not going to take anything away from Hull. Absolutely fantastic performance from Hull and fair play to Hull. I think it was going to be it could have been a tricky game, and we saw it was a very tricky game. And before we get the callers on, welcome Dylan, who's going to be guest host today as well and co-host. How are you feeling about this, Dylan? Obviously, it's a disaster to start the season. I don't know what else to say to start with. What are you thinking?
Mm, yeah, pretty much the same thing, really. Very deflating. Very just kind of rips away a lot of the confidence that I was having towards the start anyway. Highlighted a lot of areas that we need to highlight. So hopefully there's a little bit of business done now as well before the end of the window at the end of the week. But yeah, very poor performance.
The link is in the chat for people that want to come on. We're going to bring in Jeff to start with and see what Jeff has to say about this performance and match. Be up to you, Jeff. Welcome. And you probably got up very early as well because you're in the USA. And I just saw Mo say he might go back to bed after that. How are you feeling, Jeff?
Um, I can't say I'm surprised, honestly. Hall played Rich. Good morning, Rich Dillon. Here it's morning, but good afternoon to y'all. But Hall played a heck of a game. They stuck to their game plan. They played good defense, and they took their chances when they came. And if it wasn't for Senny Lamans, it could have been 4 or 5. He made some great saves today, so still really glad we have him. Look, let's just get the ugly out of the way first. The first goal, Maguire. I had to go back and watch it 3 times. Maguire is holding Mazraoui as he's trying to go to the man. He's holding his hips. He kept him from going to the man. It's insane. So, and then the second goal, Shaw blocked off Mazraoui as he was running with his man. Ran right in front of him as he's trying to get to the guy, and the guy scores the free goal. I I just those two shouldn't even be on the pitch. But we don't have much choices. We haven't made buys, and we haven't, they don't trust Euro enough to be in there with Heaven yet because they're young. But hey, Rio and Vidic were young at some point too. You gotta let them play. They're fast. They break lines, and Heaven broke the lines a bunch today. He was doing what he was told. He was getting up the pitch like he was told, but he has the recovery speed to get back, which Maguire has to hang way back there because he has no recovery speed. The outsides, I thought Mazraoui, I thought it was really smart. Rich, we were both right. So you started Cunha up top instead of putting Ahmad on. I don't know what's up with Ahmad, but he didn't get on today. And then Mazraoui started at right back, which I was really happy about. Watching Dallo when he came on, I got some notes on that. I mean, instantly getting beat down his side and not being able to recover. He was too far out of position. He was all the way up in there. His crossings. Both teams relied on crossing today, and we couldn't cross the ball for anything. We had, I think, one cross that got turned into what I have written down is we had one cross that turned into an opportunity. Our forwards and center forwards had about 4 shots on goal today. That was about it. That were anything, right? And then my last point on squad is I don't think the subs were good enough. I think he put them in the wrong positions. If he was going to put Rashford on, there was about a 10-minute period where Rashford played through the middle with Bruno behind him, and Mbeumo was on one wing and Cunha was on the other. And we actually built a couple of attacks from that, and Rashford made some really nice runs in behind. And that once he went back out to the wing, he was null. He can't beat a fullback anymore. Hull put their young fullbacks on and covered our wings all day long. Their center backs played till they had both had to go off with cramps, and so they effectively nullified our center forwards. Once they did bring Sesko on, he had a couple of opportunities, and he actually had the advantage over the young center back that they had brought on. But we didn't get enough service to him. It was too late in the match. You got Maguire up there taking shots instead of
He's only a
passing
bit
the
rusty
ball.
as well, isn't he? I think that's Sasko's first performance
Yeah,
since the Liverpool game. It's asking a
but
lot, isn't it?
but the thing is, if you were going to put Sesko on, why put Rashford on? Because he can't beat anybody on the wing. He did okay. He had a couple of chips in and everything, but other than that, I mean, he was just getting isolated in the corner. And then when he played through the middle, he actually played fairly well. But once they put him back out on the wing, he's not gonna track back. He's not gonna play defense. So you left Shaw alone out there, and then um, Santos and Tielemans showed their weaknesses today. They showed their strengths too with their passing, but again, nothing was coming of what they were doing. So, I mean, that's what I got. Other than that, I think Hull did a great job. The guys they brought in played really well. They looked very aggressive. They looked very fast. I was worried about their wing play, and they were on it today, running down the wings on us, and they knew they could get past Shaw, so they focused on that side. A lot of what happened came from that side. And
It raises a lot of issues as well. Like Andy's saying about breaking down a low block. When Hull scored their goals, and when they did, I think Man United's defensive frailties cost us because then Hull have got something to defend. They can go in a low block. We have less space to run behind. It makes it more difficult. But set pieces are something that getting caught in that. And like you said, the almost like our defenders hindering each other is just so infuriating, isn't it? Because the one thing as well, Man United, that we joke about it, but our defense is pretty much the defense we had years ago. If anything, they should have worked out how to play together by now. And basics like set pieces is so infuriating.
yeah, that again, we need better players, and it's not going to happen this season. We need a left back in the worst way. Shaw showed today he couldn't handle the speed of Hull. What's he going to do when we go to Champions League? It's going to be bad. So, I wish it was better. I expected something like this today. I was worried about it. They waited till the last minute to bring in a center back, or I mean, a center mid defensive midfielder that might actually be able to cover some ground. But again, my worst thing before I go, Rich, is are we looking at Amarin again? He dropped Bruno back to play deep with Manu, and I kept waiting for somebody to run past him because they got lucky that Hull didn't flood the center there. Because if they had, they would have scored another goal. Um, Bruno can't play deep like that. He was out of the match once they dropped him down. So
Yeah,
that's all
this is
I
making me
that's all
think
I got.
about like last year. And do you know what it made me think of last year? Last year it was Arsenal and it was a different team. But the question is going to be, do Man United, are we just not ready for, look at the last preseason match. It feels like we're just not ready for the season. And it's a different situation, isn't it? We're talking about defenders or Bruno, but it seems to be the same thing. Man United are just not ready for the season. I was talking to a Hull City fan that was speaking to Kieran a couple of days ago, and they didn't know what to expect. When I was talking to a Hull City fan, they bought so many different players. Okay, not expensive players, but they got about 8 new faces, loads of people making a debut. And you look at it and think they look so much more organised. That's the frustrating thing. They were ready for the start of the season with a completely new team, and you think there's got to be so many teething issues with trying to integrate sort of 8, 10 faces in the squad, and they look like they've been playing together for years. That's the most frustrating thing. And Man United, like you said, it was like some things worked, some things didn't. I mean, that's what preseason's for. That's the frustrating thing.
Oh, hey
Working out.
Rich. Hey Rich, I got one more note, and then I'm going to bounce off so somebody else can come on. All preseason, before the big players came back, we were counter pressing and looked amazing. We counter pressed one time today, one time, and we won the ball, and Bumo got a shot off. It's insanity that we've spent. Carrick spent all preseason with a high press, high energy game plan, and our starting players come back and we look terrible. That's all I got.
Yeah,
I think
no,
this is going to be a long season, and I can tell you right now, if this keeps up, I'm not going to waste a lot of family time watching this.
just come on, have your say, Jeff. 'Cause it's always a pleasure to speak to you, and I feel bad for people that have had to get up in them like very early, but no, it's a pleasure to speak to you, Jeff. I know it's like disaster, but hopefully, I'm reading a few of the comments, and Tyrone said he's too angry to come on, which I can understand, Tyrone. I can understand. If you feel that way, maybe it's for the best, but we'll speak soon, hopefully. Now, enjoy the rest of your day, Jeff.
Thanks, y'all. And like I said, I'm more disappointed than angry at this point that this club can't get it together. So, hey, chat, love y'all. Have a good day.
Thanks you, Jeff. Cheers for calling in. Before we get other people in, Dylan, what's your thoughts? Like, Jeff's obviously highlighted a lot of issues there, a lot to go through. But before we get the next caller on, what's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was fairly spot on, to be honest. Midfield again was an issue. I didn't think Tielemans had the greatest game. I think his passing selection was very poor. He was very poor getting back when he did lose the ball. I thought Santos was a little bit better in that regard. I probably would have had Cabby on a lot sooner than when he did come on. I feel like we were really struggling to break down Hull, taking nothing away from them. They were terrifically organised. They were very, 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 very good. Completely deserved their win, but I think when we saw at the end of the game when it's Cabby and Bruno in the pivot, you need to do that a little bit earlier. You can't do that for the last 10 minutes of the game and expect to break down the line that Hull were defending twice, let alone once. Probably could have done with Leach on as well for the same reason. I thought our centre backs were very, very poor coming out with the ball. I thought Heaven, especially today, was very poor. I think Shaw had a lot to do with that as well. I think he left him exposed a lot. I think McBurney had a lot of space to get into and kind of put him in awkward situations, and he did very, very well. Yeah, up front then, first half, it was just completely non-existent. Cunha up front, he just was not staying up front. He was not a target. We had no focal point. He was kind of just all over the place. He wasn't even kind of playing false nine either. He was, there was times he was picking the ball up in the back line. It was just too congested. There was no fluidity in it. Dorgu, very poor. Really, really poor. Really killed a lot of our attacks down the left. The ball just could not stick with him. Then, subs are made kind of halfway through the second half. We get a focal point in Sesko, and I think 2 crosses came into him. He got 2 crosses from Rashford, and before that we were putting balls into the box sort of regularly. I don't understand, because it happened a couple of times last year as well. We get someone on who can head the ball, and all of a sudden the ball just isn't coming into the box anymore. But yeah, you can kind of put down in the area.
Give them service, aren't you? That's the frustrating. I think Jeff is like saying that you bring on Rashford, it seems to work. Then you start changing things again, and it felt like, I know towards the end we're just kind of running out of ideas a little bit with this one. Mickey, Hull was ready. What's our excuse? There is no excuse. Simple. There is no excuse. But Man United have had enough pre-season to be ready. And again, it's not like we're not expecting certain things that Hull did. We should be expecting that sort of thing. We're going to bring on a new caller, United Spotlight, and get your take on the match. So, United Spotlight, welcome to you. Hopefully, you're doing well. I mean,
hello, mate.
Assessment.
How you doing? First of all, it's my first time on, new to the channel. Glad to be here.
No, thank you for calling in. I'm fine. I was expecting more from Man United, I'll be honest. I was expecting a win. I spoke to Hull City fans. They were effectively just happy to be in the Premier League, and their expectation was low. So I was thinking, this sounds good. and they played extremely well. I mean, a Man United that we didn't respond, and I'm just disappointed overall. But what was your thoughts?
I mean, my thoughts were I expected it to be a tough game. I expected them to defend well, but I thought we would win. There's no way I thought we were going to lose in that game today. But I mean, my thoughts on it are, I mean, I've got a lot to say, but I think Dorgu, Heaven, and Santos were all extremely poor. If anybody knows me from any other channels, you'll know that I've said rate Santos after a few real games, and today he looked miles off it for me. Dorgu, I think he's a left back. We've made him a left winger because he had a few good games versus City, Arsenal when Carrick came in against open sides. He's technically nowhere near a good enough player to be a winger in the Premier League. That's my opinion on him. And I'm not going to be harsh on Heaven. He's a young lad playing in the Premier League. He shouldn't be starting. But in my opinion of the defence is we've needed a new defence for a long time. We've got Maguire, who we all know his failings. He's great in the air. He turns like a bus. And that's what he is. I'm not going to go in on Heaven and Yoro, as I just said, the kids. Leacher is injury prone, and in my opinion, is not a good defender. And I could sit here for 20 minutes and explain the reasons why, but I won't. And you've got De Ligt, who in my opinion is the same as Maguire, but younger, a good, solid defender at defending his own box, but none of them are quick enough to recover, like the previous caller was just saying, and that we everybody says Carrick wants to play this possession, high-press football. You can't play possession, high-press football with a backline that can only run back to their own goal at the pace of a snail walking backwards. It will never work. So we are stuck as a counter side. And again, people know my opinions on Bruno from other channels, but I thought he was abysmally bad today. Horrendously bad. And that is Bruno for me. He's either world-class or horrendous. And when he is bad, the whole team is bad because everything goes through Bruno and he cannot keep possession. It's like he's playing pass the parcel at a kid's party. He cannot keep the ball for more than 3 seconds. And it showed today that he's been played however many games and played out of his skin the back end of last season. He's been to the World Cup. And he's clearly tired and miles off it. And too many people expect too much of Bruno based on his 6 months of last season. If you go back to halfway through last season, there was a lot of people who said they'd have taken the 100 million quid for Bruno and got him out of the club and rebuilt. I mean, I don't know what your two's opinion is on that, but my opinion is we're trying to rebuild a team under Carrick and Ineos, but we're still rebuilding around the same core players in Maguire, Shaw, Dalot, Bruno as the catalyst for it all. And how do we turn to this so-called possession-based high-press footballing team when we are building around the same players that have failed for the last 10 years?
Yeah, I was saying that for a proper rebuild, you've got to get where's the elite centre-back we're buying? Do you remember Liverpool got very close and they rebuilt getting Van Dijk and they addressed their goalkeeping issue at the same time. And Manchester United, we seem to have, and honestly, I think it's an inability to recruit where we've gone, right, Maguire, here's an extra year, Luke Shaw will keep you. And I think it's an inability to recruit good enough replacements. And the midfield, I think, is getting questioned a lot, but it's the first game, these players. But I think in terms of also the attack as well, I thought we bought quite well last year with Cunha and Buemo, but where's the building blocks to build? You kind of need to get new building blocks, don't you? Is what you're saying? Like where's your Roy Keane? Where's like your, I guess, Yap Stam or someone that's going to be the best defender?
We seem to be, like you say, we built the front line last season. We're looking at building the midfield this season. Next season, we'll probably look at building the defence, but you still need to fill the gaps. We're buying all midfielders this season, and we bought all forwards last season, but we haven't got a striker. Like you just said, we've got no real centre backs. You can't. What we're going to do? Buy 3 or 4 midfielders next summer and still not buy a proper striker? Because I don't know what you two think as well about Sesko, but I've always said he's a £70 million striker who's well into his 20s now, who can't start games. He doesn't start for Carrick and he didn't start for Amorim. And there's a lot of the fan base pinning their hopes on that Sesko has turned into the Hulk and is this fantastic number 9. Where's the evidence of it? Because neither manager wants to start him. And I know he's been injured over the last few weeks and since the end of last season, but since the start of last season, he's not played games. And yes, he's come on, he's scored a few goals, but people dug Rasmus Højlund out to the ground and he had a very similar first season to Sesko. But for some reason, the fan base seems to love Sesko. And for me, he's done very little to win me over. And we've got no striker. We're playing Cunha up front or Mbumo up front, who are both wingers. You know what I mean? We're Man United. When we won the Champions League in 1999, we had 4 strikers. We've now got one who cost us 70 million quid who can't get off the bench. I don't know where we are as a club. I'll probably come on some other calls. I don't want to take up all your day and time because I've got a hell of a lot to say. But
I'm listening to your point. I was going to say regarding the striker, and I've been saying this quite a lot. When people talk about backup striker, it depends on the budget and everything. But I would rather Man United got someone that's going to compete with Sesko. Like instead of having saying Sesko can't play this game, why not get someone that could be the first team striker? Like Dwight York didn't get bought to be a backup. Like Sheringham wasn't a backup. They all played quite a lot of similar games. And I'll bring Dylan back in. Dylan, what are you thinking regarding this? Because do you remember when Man United used to offload, like I would say, bring on extra strikers, bring on extra attacking players? We do that now, but it doesn't seem to make a massive difference. Like we put on more attacking options, but it doesn't seem to be that we're creating any extra chances. And Hull looked quite comfortable. And again, credit to Hull. They dealt with everything we threw at them pretty effectively. And the goalkeeper looked like it was quite an easy day for him overall, although I think he did play well. What's your thoughts, Dylan?
Yeah, like it's been evident with a while we badly need another striker. I think with Sesko, it was a lot of it was just very unlucky last season with a lot of injuries. I thought when he did play, I think he's a good striker. But he's very young, he's very raw. And yeah, like we said, we've always been a club that's had 2, 3, 4 strikers. Anyone can come on that can change a game. At the moment, we are kind of just hammering square pegs into round holes, trying to get players to play positions where they're not 100% comfortable with. And yeah, I'd 100% agree with kind of the fact that you don't really want someone who's going to be a backup to him. You want someone who's going to compete with him and make him know that his position is under threat and that he has to perform to his best, even in training, every time he gets an opportunity. Which I think he did quite well last year when he did get opportunities. But again,
I say, just a quick point. Do you think he gets dropped, or do you think there's a question mark over his injury kind of issue? Because I think that is something where he got injured in the Liverpool game, and this is the first game since then. That's quite a long time.
Yeah, like
I think
he is unlucky. Like he's just been very unlucky with his fitness. Like that injury, no one really thought it was going to be a big thing, and it's had to keep him out for 4 months. Now, obviously, you can't question his availability then, and you can't really argue with it, given that he arrived to the club injured as well. But yeah, I think he just needs a bit of help. You probably could argue the same thing for Rasmus Højlund when he first got here. He had no help either. It was all on him. Now, I do think overall Benjamin Sesko is a better striker than Rasmus Højlund. But yeah, it's just our attacking options are very thin. All of our our threat and our depth, I suppose you could say, comes from out wide, comes from the number 10. And, when Bruno's never going to get taken off, so the number 10's never going to get changed. We saw 4 wingers today, none of them really stood out. And then, situations like today happen where you just can't break down a team and you run out of options on the bench, and where do you go from there?
And I think a lot of people are, again, it's quite early, it's the first day of the season, but a lot of people are questioning the transfers already. And I think I would say this, when people are judging say Santos, Tielemans. I would say like one game is not for me. I'm not going to start judging them after one game, but not even 4 or 5 games. I was thinking with Dorgu, you got to give them like a few months, then you can kind of judge if the transfer window's been good or not. So I think that's something that I know people are going to be. Next game we play, we could win, and I would if we'd have beaten Hull 2-0 today and Tielemans has scored, then I wouldn't be saying what a fantastic start. No, you'd still say let's see a few more games regarding this one as well. I will say United Spotlight. Thank you for joining. It's a pleasure to talk to you. And there's a few callers waiting backstage, so I'm going to try and get a few people on. And
No
I might
problem.
struggle
I'm
to get
sure I'll be back for another one.
Yeah, I'm sure I might struggle to get some positive people on today,
You
but I
probably
will
struggle to
try.
get positives from me. That's one thing I will tell you. But there we go.
Yeah, but for me, like this is like a fan-based community, and honest reactions is what people tune in to
Yeah.
watch, and that's exactly what I try and give Dylan and everybody else. So, and rival fans are welcome, but I will probably go for Man United fans first, just to let them know, Mr. B, I know you're like as a Brentford fan, you want to speak, but United Spotlight, thank you, and I'll speak to you hopefully very soon.
Yeah. See you later, everyone. Bye.
United Spotlight, everybody. You might recognise them from the comments, and obviously not happy. I mean, if a Man United fan comes on that's happy, I will question if they're a Man United fan. But we're going to get on next caller, and welcome back, Sebastian. It's been a little while, Sebastian. How are you doing, my friend?
Hi, Rich. Hi, everyone. So, terrible start to the season, to be honest. Uh, actually, I think Carrick also did a few mistakes today in his lineup, especially when you had to start two newcomers in the midfield, and definitely it didn't work. Tillmans and, of course, Santos. Unfortunately, of course, Mount is injured, and I think that went against the plan, because I think the plan was to start Mount, given that Menu was given a long rest, of course, following his unfortunate World Cup run. 2 goals from 2 set pieces. So I think that's definitely something that's going wrong. Of course, it's one game. You're not going to judge everything based on one game. But I think it was United really struggles against team that defend with 5 people. Even last time against Milan, right? So we are used to Amorim. We know when we are defending, it's like against a 5-line block. And again today, Hull, I think, of course, did a lot of research to plan their game tactically, and it worked because they played simple football, man marking on every key players that can cause certain difficulties for them, like Bruno and even Cunha. But I think Cunha today, his role was not. He did not. He should not have started like in the striker position, because he had very physical players around him. He was very isolated, and United actually allowed Hull to dictate the game, especially in the early stages of the game. And these two midfielders did not work. We had a lot of possession, I think around 70%, but it was not enough like line breaking abilities. And Tillmans tried some long balls at the start. Obviously, Santos as well was not very effective in his role in the midfield. But I think that was the main issue today. And at the same time, I'm very surprised that even Maguire, that is quite like an experienced centre back, could not like intervene on the two. Of course, he cannot be everywhere, and he had.
Usually, we had been getting better with set pieces, and we were more effective on those, like attacking and defending. So it is kind of frustrating. But I think, like you're saying, like Hull did the basics well, and there's no excuses for not being able to put them under pressure. I mean, they're a team that had a lot of new faces, and even like when their 2 centre backs went off, and I was thinking that you got a chance. It's a bit frustrating. Do you find that a couple of comments, like Tyrone said, Like, and Mbeumo was playing as a striker for pre-season. Then you have Cunha playing as a striker. At some point, you get Rashford through the middle. Do you think the problem is that we're just like the time for experimenting should be over now? We should have a idea of what our plan is. And do you think we're trying to do too many different things during matches?
Yeah, definitely. I think that we are going to be serious this season. We cannot just be like playing around, like you said, with the different positions. Mbeumo was one of the best players in preseason, as well as Lacey, I think. So based on today, even Dogu, I don't know why Dogu was actually started on the left side. We know Dogu is good, especially in certain games where you are going to be counter-attacking, like he did, like against City, against Arsenal last season. Okay, but today it was mostly a game where you have to break their defense down, and I don't think Dogu is ready yet for that purpose. I think Cunha should have started on the left side, and Mbeumo maybe in front, and maybe give some credit to Lacey on the right side, because he did some good things actually during preseason. And I'm also surprised. I don't know if it's because he's leaving, but Xerxes actually did quite good in the preseason. We could have got him on later in the game instead of maybe Sesko, because Sesko was not fit. When he came on, you could see he was always like lagging behind, always late. That's signs of a player that's not ready yet for the new season. So maybe because he's leaving, Carrick is like, because Xerxes is leaving, Carrick doesn't, I don't know. That's maybe a choice for confidence for later. But definitely a lot of issues, especially across the midfield. Of course, I don't know. I heard that Baliba is actually injured. When he's going to join us, he might not play for 2-3 weeks. So that's quite an issue. And Rashford was quite encouraging. He tried things when he was on, but of course, things surrounding him were not working too well. And even Luke Shaw, you can see now that we definitely need a second left back to help him throughout the season, because 50 games, 60 games, he won't be able to withstand that amount of games.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's fair. Even if he plays well, he won't be able to play that number of games. I think the issue. I think this one. I was expecting this kind of result at some point in the season. I just wasn't expecting it on game one, because I think most people know the squad isn't good enough to try and be where we want to be. But when you're looking at the first game of the season, I think most people thought we were going to beat Hull, and some of the things that people mentioned, like you mentioned them as well. Some of the issues in our squad or issues in how we play are there for us all to see. I just didn't think we'd be talking about them this early. That's probably the only thing I've got. So I was just thinking, Hull, Ipswich, like these are games where when you see the fixture list, you think, right, this is good. Let's see how we do when we play like more difficult teams. But I think it'd be interesting to see what Hull do next, because they're playing Coventry. If they pick up 2 wins, then maybe they can have a better season than we expect. But I think for Man United, it is a bit worrying. And what's always annoying me, that the transfer window is not closed yet, and United are looking at a left back. There's so many linked. I think we're going to buy one of them. But a few people talking about Dorgu, and I hadn't really considered Dorgu playing as a left back, because we just don't see it at Man United. Does anybody think that might happen, or like, do you think that will happen, Sebastian? Like, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so Dogu, I think he can play as a wing back, but not definitely as a full back, because he's very good at like bringing the ball forward and trying to help the wingers with their duties, of course. But in terms of defensive stuff, he's not that talented yet. Of course, he's young. He can definitely improve on these skills. But right now, we need a defender that can actually do the transition better, like Luke Shaw. He can defend well, like in his prime, like before he got injured. He could defend well. He could like bring the ball forward to the wingers, and he could put some very good crosses in the box for our strikers, even though he can do it now. So I'm not sure we are going to have Lewis Hall, because Newcastle lost a lot of players already. from the squad. Maybe they're going to block the transfer. I don't know what's going to happen next, but we definitely need a second left back to supplement Luke Shaw throughout the season. And at the same time, I still don't believe that Mbeumo, Cunha, or even Rashford are good replacements or substitute for Sesko when he's not playing. We need definitely a striker, maybe a more experienced one, maybe for like 1 or 2 seasons, like not on a long contract, because with the Champions League and the EPL is going to be very hard, especially that Sesko did not have a preseason. So I guess maybe in the next game he will bring Mbeumo back to the starting up front.
For me, it always seems crazy that Man United are just rotating players in the front three and assuming that's fine. Because can you imagine Man United in the 90s going, "Oh, we've got Andy Cole injured, don't worry, we'll play Giggs as a striker or play Beckham as a striker." I just think that, like, come on, you need to get players in the right positions. I'm gonna go for the next caller, Sebastian, because there's a lot of people waiting. But big thanks to you.
All right, thank you guys. Cheers. See you later.
And thank you for making some really good points tonight. And we will hopefully speak soon after a win, maybe.
Cheers.
Cheers, Sebastian. Betty said he's so angry he can't talk. His Apple Watch told him 8 times in 90 minutes his heart rate was too high. And hopefully you calm down a bit now, Betty. I don't know if it's going to be better when we play Ipswich, but so yeah, 1 game already. I wonder what Luke Shaw's watch tells him during a match. Move more, Luke. Come on. What do you think? What do you think then? Quick question for you, Dylan. Like, do you think Dorgu is? Do you think he's ever going to play left back for Man United? Like, I don't think he is going to personally, because I think we're going to be buying another one. But
yeah, no, I don't think his long-term future anyway is in the back line. I think it's kind of just been almost confirmed whenever reports come out about him. He is going to be a left wing option. He's just such a raw talent. Like he's just so unpolished. Like even today now, I know obviously first game of the season, so on and so forth, but his touch was absolutely abysmal. He just can't keep the ball on his feet. His decision making is poor. I understood starting him today because obviously I think that the plan was probably to play Cunha on the left, Mbeumo through the middle, and then Ahmad on the right. But obviously Ahmad got injured late last week, so yeah, I think at the moment anyway we will see a little bit at left wing. I'm kind of hoping Rashford will be starting the next day after his cameo today. But no, I with all the links we have with left back, you can't see him playing at left back anytime soon anyway.
No, I think it's not like a must-win game, but I think Man United need to learn from what happened today.
Yeah.
We're going to get the next caller on, Tommy, and we'll try and go for callers maybe a bit quicker today because there's quite a few people waiting backstage. Welcome, Tommy.
Hi, Rich. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good, mate. How are you feeling?
Confused, to say the least. From what I saw in pre-season, I thought the signing Tielemans, the signing the Santos, I thought I was going to see good things today, and felt like we were going backwards. There was no chemistry. You know what it was for me, Rich? It was the pulse. There was no pulse in the team. We were passing too slow. We looked like we were learning a system still, like schoolboys, rather than reading the game. And then, where's the heart? Where's the passion? When you're in them situations when you're up against it, your back's against the wall. Where's the fight? Where was our leaders?
I was thinking like pre-season. When you watch pre-season, I have a different expectation, and I was thinking, now it counts. I was expecting like a jump up in level and intensity.
Yeah,
and that's where I was thinking, come on, guys, it's not pre-season anymore.
I'm not too concerned about us losing the game. We're going to lose games this season, but this was Hull. What are we going to do? I mean, they've bought well in the window, and they're a good physical team. And obviously they're up for it. It's like a cup final for them today, isn't it? First game back in the league, and they're at home. But what happens when we come up against bigger, better teams, and especially in the Champions League? That's my biggest concern about today. Is like that pulse of the team. Where are the leaders? What, you know, stiff upper lip and all that. How do we get back to having that? You know, when you're facing adversity, you grind out a result. Where's that? Cunha was dreadful today, and Bamo was poor. Tielemans was dreadful. It was just like, it was as if it was like a game at the end of the season when we're about to break up for the summer, rather than the first game of the season. We should have come out all guns blazing, mate. You know, go and make a statement. This is Man United.
Yeah, Makayo says he got Hull finishing 20th in the league in terms of like predictions. And I think most people, even like I said, when I spoke to a Hull fan, and there was a Hull fan on the channel a couple of days ago, their expectation was like zero. They were just like, right, we got promoted. We didn't expect to get promoted, and no one expected them to get promoted last season. They bought loads of players that aren't expensive. Like they bought a lot of cheap players, and they put together a team that suddenly just looks more organised than our team. And we're thinking, what the hell's going on? Like you said, you know, if we'd
Got a
have
very
lost
good manager
to,
too. He's a quality manager.
yeah, if we'd have lost to a top team, I think fans would be okay, right, fine, but
yeah, like the game last night. Like you know that Coventry aren't necessarily going to beat Arsenal, so Coventry can go there, try the best, work on what they've been working on, and continue in the league, because their season's not going to be defined by, you know, a loss to Arsenal. But we're playing Hull, mate. Is our season going to be just, you know, decided on games like this, where when we're up against it, we just fall flat on our arse? It was terrible, mate. Honestly, it was terrible. I couldn't believe what I was watching, to be honest. I'm horrified, Rich, to be fair. But, you know, on a good note, I suppose Sonny Lemons seems to have exercised his demons from the World Cup. I thought Lemons was very good positioning, made some good saves. He came out of his box a couple of times to close the ball down when they got through. He looked decent. Oh, God. Let's try a positive spin. Belieber's coming soon.
yeah, he's going to have to be like a massive version of like what it was a couple of years ago to push this team forward. So, I mean, I'm quite happy with the individual signings, but you always question like where the squad's going to be. I think with this one, as well as like individual players, like how are we playing that badly collectively as a team is probably the difficult one. So I know people will say like Cunha played badly, but he's not a bad player, is he? And Mbeumo played badly, but we know he's a good player. Bruno can be an exceptional player, and I think there's one game where there's so many off days. Dan said it'll probably be Hull's only win. I think based on that,
Yeah,
I think
he's
Hull
probably
might
right,
surprise
Dan.
a few people. I mean,
Can you imagine going into that changing room at half time and Roy Keane's your captain? We'd have come out of that second half and won that game. That's what I'm saying about the desire and the commitment. Is it really there? Once the players get to the big time and they get the big wages playing for Man United, do they rest on the laurels? I don't know. It just felt like, just watching the game, it just felt like there's no desire or passion. It was just, what's going on here? It was like someone had took the stuffing out of them all. You come out at half time and you go and win the game back. Anyway. Yeah, I'm furious.
you make a lot of good points. I mean, if anyone's backstage, we'll get Neil in a second. If you've got some positives, share them with me because I kind of like hit the wall, I think, regarding this one. Yeah, where are the Warriors, says RK? Like, where are the people that are going to be? I think one thing that's concerns me is where are the people on the pitch that look around and go, come on, guys, this is not acceptable. Like, this level needs to up. And you just see too many people that, like I said, it feels like you're going through the motions a bit sometimes. Yeah, the passing's there and the possession's there, but like, where's the intensity to trying to put Hull under pressure? Did we ever put Hull under pressure where they looked like they were, you know, like we were building towards a goal? Like, do you think that, Dylan? Like, do you think we did Hull play well, or did Man United let them play
well? They look comfortable all game. I think even Hull must have been surprised. They were like, "Well, this is easier than we thought." They were in control the whole time. We didn't put them under enough pressure. I mean, don't get me wrong. We had little passages of play at times where I thought, "Oh, that was half decent. That's so good," but we still look like a team that's still learning, which is shocking for me, considering the way we ended last season and the way the players that we've brought in as well. Yeah, I'm very disturbed, mate, to say the least. I'm very disturbed. Well, anyway, on that negative note, I'm going to go and get drunk. Cheerio.
No worries. Cheers, Tommy. Good to speak to you.
Cheers, mate.
I just saw this, and so it's bad when people are in the comments quoting EastEnders, saying, "I've got nothing."
Indeed.
RK's like, before we get Neil on, so RK's saying Carrick technically not the best, and do you think that this is one where, I mean, it wasn't what's the word? It wasn't rocket science from Hull, was it? It was like defend effectively, hit on the break, make the most of your set pieces, and that's not exactly revolutionary tactics. Man United are going to be I was not expecting much else from Hull. I think Hull would be definitely trying to be like solid defensively, organized. You're expecting that as a minimum, and I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't even think this is a game where you kind of look at it tactically. I think it was all kind of hit the nail on the head there. United came out and they were just so flat, and they were so flat from minute 1 to minute 90. There was never a time where they were getting the away end off their seats. There was never a time where there was a bit of fight in them, and you can't blame a manager for that. That's just onto the players on the pitch. You're playing for arguably the biggest club in the world, and if you can't get up for the first game of the season, then what are you doing there? Like, you're waiting for someone to kind of grab the game by the scruff of the neck and, take a man on or put in a challenge or, something, but it just never came. Like, and I think when they are your mistakes that you're looking at, you don't really have to go deeper tactically. It was just United didn't have the fight for the game, and Hull did, and Hull just took their chances.
Yeah, Danny B is agreeing with you, saying 100% Dylan. And yeah, I agree with Steph. It felt like we were on pre-season mode for a lot of that. And
Yeah.
me, I don't really care about possession stats. It's like, do we put Hull under pressure? Because playing in front of them is not putting them under pressure. And when they're 2-0 up, they're comfortable, aren't they?
Yeah, it's meaningless possession. Like when you're just passing the ball around the box and transitioning from front to back and back to front, you can have 70% of the ball, but you've done nothing with it for the 70% of the time you've had it. It doesn't really mean anything.
Do you think that, I'm trying to think, did the whole goalkeeper, I think the whole goalkeeper played quite well, made good decisions. Did he have any really difficult saves to make? I can't really think of much he had, to be honest.
We didn't really have any clear cut. I guess Mbeumo's chance kind of towards the end there when Cunha slipped them in, but it was a fairly poor shot, really, to be honest. I've been very, very worried about Mbeumo, to be honest, kind of since the turn of the year. He's been very, very poor. He looked good in pre-season again, but he comes out today, and even for the first goal, was it the first goal? I think ball's played to his feet in the middle of the pitch by Mazraoui, and he's just standing there waiting for the ball. He's dispossessed. Corner gets given. It's little things like that makes the difference when you're playing a team like Hull, who are their main objective this season is to survive. Every single game for them this year is a dogfight. You have to go to these grounds and know you are going to have to run. You're going to have to fight, and it's not going to be any easy day. And I think United really just underestimated what they were coming up against and just kind of let Hull.
When you sideways passing wing, it's like, for me, possession doesn't really tell you much about the game. When you watch the game, it's like, are you putting one team under pressure? Are you not? If you're passing slowly through midfield, it doesn't. I think it's one of the stats that people use to try and say how games are going, but I think you look at it and go, sometimes you can control a game without possession. Like, you don't need possession to control a game. You can just do what you need to do. And I think Hull's game plan was probably, right, let's not give away anything stupid. If we get some set pieces, let's see if we can cause some problems. And I think they probably thought, what the hell's going on at halftime? We're 2-0 up against Manchester United. We're not under pressure. And if I was a Hull fan, I'd be expecting the second half, right, what are Man United going to do? How are they going to respond? Are they going to be coming out all guns? Because I used to watch United where if the first half went badly, the second half is like a different team, and you come out, you pressurize your opposition, and you go, not saying you go all guns blazing, but you see a step up in level and effort. And this, it's almost, it feels a bit like we've literally had 30 seconds break, switched ends, and gone, right, carry on, guys. And like, where's the difference? That's the frustrating thing.
Yeah, it was a massive thing. And I think the game against Man City, you can highlight last season that we did not have much of the ball, but there was never a time where we weren't the better team. from minute 1 to minute 90.
That's a really good example. Man City last season, we dominated and controlled that game. And to be honest, when I was watching the game, I didn't even realize what the possession stats were. And when you look at it and go, oh, City had more possession. But if you watch the game, Man United just go, right, you're just wasting time. We'll just sit in our formation. Right, we'll win the ball. We'll go attacking. We'll score. And exactly that's how Hull won. And it's really, really disappointing. We're going to get Neil on, find out what Neil has to say and how he's feeling about that.
Right,
Neil.
right.
How are you doing, Neil?
Yeah, I'm all right. I didn't watch the game, so because I don't have TNT, so I didn't watch the game. But I'm not surprised they lost. Look at our defence. Well, it's the same defence we've had for 4 or 5 seasons now. It needs refreshing. I watched a lot.
I've got a question for you, Neil. Like, if our defence, our defence has played together for years now, it's the same players. Why don't they seem to know where each other is? Why don't they seem to be able to coordinate?
That is a good question. If I knew the answer, I would tell you, but I don't. I watched. Do you know Lou, mate? She's Irish lady. Spill the tea. I watched her watch along, and she wasn't very happy neither. Yeah, it was it was a terrible game. Because I didn't watch it, so she was saying they were terrible. She haven't got Bruno, but a lot of them who played well. Only our goalie really. The rest of the team was rubbish, weren't they? Since Cunha and Bruno come back into the team, we've been poor. Without them two in the pre-season, we were all right. But since they've been in the team, we've been poor.
No, what's frustrating is like as soon as the first teams come back, it feels like a few games ago we looked pretty good. Just a question: G Wolf will be back for the next match. He's been on holiday, and welcome to the chat. Helm says still stuck with Maguire, Dalot, Rashford. It's literally like 2022, isn't it? Again, or still.
Well, yeah, so it is. If you look at it, same defence. We need a centre back, left back. Just left back. Where is he? Where's Shaw? What's he go for a cup of tea half time? Most of the time, he goes for a walk back, then he can't get back. Centre half. I like Harry, but he's too slow. That what's his name? The Argentinian. He's always injured, so you can't rely on him. Martinez, can you? You can't rely on him. Same as Delit, he's coming out. He'll come back. He'll get injured again. So we do need a left back and a centre back. More than anything else, we need 2 defenders. But will we get them? Maybe get a left back. That's better. We won't get another centre back. It's disappointing today. Of course it is. Because I said on another one, I don't think we'll lose today. How far was I? I wasn't right, was I?
I think most Hull City fans, they were not expecting to win.
That bloke on your programme last night, Max, wasn't it? The whole fan.
Yeah, Max didn't think they'd win.
No, he didn't. He said they wouldn't lose. Would he win? And he was wrong, wasn't he? See, you can never, when it's 11 against 11 and they cross the line, you can't say, oh, this you should win, but you don't always, do you? If you don't put enough effort in it, there's no effort. Well,
exactly.
Well, I could hear.
Doesn't matter how much quality you got. You got to. I think for United, it feels a bit like I'm not going to call Carrick out after one match, but people are starting to go that way.
But Bruno and Cunha weren't fit, so they shouldn't have been playing. So why would you change that? Well, worked in friendlies, and Cunha and Bruno didn't play hardly any of them. Then we looked okay, but they come back and bloody rubbish. I'm 69 and I could defend better than that. Shocking. The first go, was it? What's his name? Just let someone went to pass it. He just couldn't be bothered, could he? He went to pass. He just stood there.
I've not done my preseason prediction. And I was going to record it, and I was thinking
I
during the game.
Mine yet, neither.
I'd have put Hull near the bottom, and I was thinking, I don't know. I mean, it's one game, isn't it? It's one game, but
when I do mine, I would just do the top 6. I don't give a shit about the bottom half. I don't do all the bottom. I just do the top. Teams do get in Europe. The rest of it don't give a shit. Because it'd be the same old team. Hull will probably get. What?
Neil, what happens if you predict Man United outside the top six? Do you go lower then, or do you never predict Man United below top six?
At the moment, my subscription for United is 6th or 7th. Won't get Champions League because not till they sort that defence out. Yes, last year we got it, but that's more lucky judgment. Well, we won't because City, Arsenal are better than we are. Chelsea might be there. Liverpool, we might get them, but I don't think we will. I'll say United finish 5th or 6th.
Yeah,
we're getting Europe, but not champions today.
Neil, I said top 4, so I'm not going to then start. I'm not going to change. But it's one game. We lost the first game last season. We finished 3rd. I'm not saying that obviously Hull are not Arsenal.
Yeah, but you look at the games we lost to. Shite teams. We beat the best teams. We lost to the shit teams, didn't we? Last season.
Yeah, no, maybe that'll happen. But Neil, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for coming on, having your say. I'm going to go for a couple of more people.
All right, mate. We'll see ya.
But big up to you, Neil. Maybe next time it'll be a good one.
Yeah, all right. Let's hope so.
Cheers, Neil. Yeah, let's hope so. Yeah. Big up to Modern Samurai for gifting memberships on the channel as well. Thank you so much. And I did see a comment from you saying we will get better. And, well, we have to, don't we? I think most people thought Hull were going to be 20th in the league. And to be honest, if I'd recorded my match, I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I've been away quite a lot. I'm going to do like a prediction video. And I did say that I think the teams get promoted are going to get relegated, but I might have to change my prediction. Maybe I'll put Hull 18th, but to be honest, when they got promoted to Premier League last year, do you remember like 10 years ago, Dylan, when Hull got promoted or whenever it was, they went on a really good run. I know it's different players, but you never know when a team gets promoted, do you? It's really difficult to predict.
Yeah, I think the promoted teams last year kind of gave the championship a good kind of boost with Sunderland doing so well, even though I think they're losing now at the moment. But yeah, I think teams are kind of learning that when you come up from the championship, the goal isn't to come up and play beautiful football and try and compete with the big six and so on and so forth. It's just get up, survive your dogfights and survive the season and then kind of build from that. And, it'd be good. It's good to see as well the promoted clubs managing to stay up for 2 or 3 years. But, when you're coming to them, Hull's first Premier League game in 10 years and they're playing at home against United in the first game, you have to expect what's coming.
Yeah, the atmosphere was tremendous as well. And I think it's like you get these, some clubs maybe take it for granted, but when a team and I was talking to Max, say a couple of days ago, and he was saying that as a Hull City fan, he thought they might never get back to the Premier League. That's what he thought when they got relegated. And they're obviously really happy to be here. And they just beat Man United for the first time. I don't know if it's the first time in their history, but it's the first time in the Premier League. It probably is the first time in their history, isn't it? Kenny, my man, how you doing? Yeah, I saw you doing a watch along, and when I saw it, I left the comics. I was just about to start this, and I was just like, "What is going on?"
Yeah, big up to you, Rich. I saw your I saw your comment on my stream chat, and yeah, man, I've got nothing left. Bro. I've got nothing left, man. We've been the team looked clueless from minute 1 till finish. We were just spamming crosses left, right, center. We couldn't defend crosses from the wide areas. We couldn't even defend from set pieces. That's what's been happening during the preseason. Should have signed a left back in the summer. The board didn't want to do it. Lewis Hall was completely free. He hasn't been selected for the World Cup. So we should have gotten him. We should have gotten Lewis Hall. And again, I saw a lot of our fan base. They were excited about Carlos Baleba signing. But I say to myself on my stream, Carlos Baleba signing doesn't solve anything. We need a left back. We may need we need a centre back. We may need a backup striker. But today this game, it was absolute. It was beyond criminal. beyond criminal. We should be beating Hull City, let alone our C team. We should be beating Hull City, but no, I have no right today, at the state of my mind, to be bantering other teams today because we've been demolished. They deserve to win. They absolutely deserved. Hull City from minute one till the end, they deserve to win. Um, if it wasn't for Lamon's couple of saves before we conceded those two set piece goals, we should have been 4-0. You know, I you know I don't want to turn my back on young players, but in my opinion, Eden Heaven had a shocker today. He was completely looked lost in this game. Again, from minute 1 till 15 minutes, I saw Luke Shaw being targeted from our left hand side. They were targeting on Luke Shaw, and then when they were and when they had a shot towards Sunny Lemons before they scored, they were targeting on Mazarawi's side. So they've been targeting our wide areas and from our set piece. That's been my concern during my preseason, and I'm sorry. I don't think we looked ready to compete for the Premier League this season. Our attackers shambles today. Cunha, I don't know why he was being playing up top. Should have been playing on. I don't know why he was playing as a 9. He looked completely lost as a 9. I've seen Cunha on the right wing 9, and suddenly, and at one point of time in the second half, I saw Maguire on the wing. I saw Dogu on number 9 in the first half. Like, what is going on? This is completely chaos from minute 1 till the end. Absolutely chaotic today.
Do you think as well that I said probably it might have been before you joined backstage, but I was saying Man United didn't look ready, and is this a case of like it might be like a World Cup hangover a bit where Bruno Fernandes, a lot of players are on leave, and I think that for me, Bruno Fernandes wasn't fully match fit. He was quite poor against AC Milan, and other players aren't quite match fit, and that maybe that's the issue as well. So it might be that we get, but I think most fans are expecting improved performances. I'm just saying it's not an excuse, by the way. It's just maybe a reason why some players are off it. But again, we should have a big enough squad to counteract this. But
long season ahead, Rich. Long season ahead. We have Ipswich down next, and I know what I thought at first. Okay, first two fixtures. Okay, should be a good start, but here we are. Reality check by Tony the Tiger. Tiger Woods.
Long season.
Tiger Woods. Yeah, we've been bamboozled by. We've got mashed up by Tiger Woods today.
Well, what do you think, Dylan? Like long season, first game. Then do you think,
Rich? If we can't beat Hull City, I'll tell you something. I'll ask you something. If we can't beat Hull City, like what makes us fans believe that we are going to compete like against the likes of Porto sides, like Dortmund, AS Roma, like all these teams? How we gonna like beat those teams? We have Ipswich Town next. We have like Everton, in which away from home we do struggle, and I don't know, man. It's like when are these useless owners gonna sell this club? I don't know, to be honest. But today, this game, it was a cry. It was a car crash course today. To be honest, it really was. Right towards the end, I was. Rich, I've not done a single transfer window stream because the more I do it, I would have lost my shit. I have not done a single transfer window stream, and I'm absolutely grateful. I'm grateful. I have been grateful. Grateful, Rich. I have not done a single transfer window stream.
Also, thank you. You wrote a really nice comment a few days ago where you said that you enjoy the streams. I was very grateful for that, Kenny. Because
yeah, absolutely,
streams,
yeah.
I think Dylan might know this as well.
Yeah, at least you and Streff post. At least you both channels gave me a lot of therapy. Even KG as well. to be honest.
I was trying to give information out on streams, and Dylan will know this. Like, you try and go, right, this is what's in the news. And sometimes I read the comments and think, wow, I'm just like, people just getting angry with literally everything. And I was thinking, if I say Man United are going to sign, I don't know, Belieber, people will be in the comments angry. I go, right, if Man United sign Tillemans, people are angry. Man United, and I was like, Man United fans are very angry at the moment about a lot of
Rich,
things.
Rich, I have to go. Yeah, I need to get going.
No worries.
I got a big up.
So Dylan, have you got some positives? We're going to get Omar on as probably the last caller. If people have got some call,
Yeah, look, it's
positives,
extremely
please.
deflating. Obviously, like this, it's not something you want to go. You're waiting 3 months to watch United play Premier League football, and this is what we get served up in the first game. But you know, it's a newly promoted team. It's in their home ground. It's their first game in 10 years. We have a lot of lads that were involved in the World Cup, late in the World Cup. We were just, you know, it was just flat. We were caught flat-footed. We were flat for the entire game. There's not really much else you can say about it, really. Like, you don't have to dive too deep into it, as I said, to kind of dissect what went wrong here. United just got a reality check, and you're kind of just hoping that they just got caught. They were just asleep. And when we go to play Ipswich next week at Old Trafford, that
you got to make sure you're ready. You know what it reminds me of, Dylan? Do you remember about, and if Mr. B's in the chat, then if you want to come on quickly, then you're welcome to. When Brentford got promoted, their first game was against Arsenal, and they beat Arsenal 2-0, from what I can remember. And at the time, everyone was like, there was obviously Arsenal YouTube, there was a massive head loss, no surprise. And then Arsenal's next two games, unfortunately for them, were against, I think they were against Chelsea and Man City, and they lost loads of those as well. And I was just thinking for Man United, right, Ipswich, let's just correct some of the things that didn't go. And also, I still get the feeling that, rightly or wrongly, this still feels a bit like Man United haven't really, like, the pre-season could have been an extra couple of games, I think, to get the first team players back up to match fitness. And there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing that Man United can do about it. It's just the World Cup was long, and Bruno Fernandes had one start against AC Milan. He's not ready. It's annoying, but Bruno and Mason Mount's injured. I think Mason Mount would have started if he'd been available. And I think Man United, the Glazers are obviously to blame for the state of the squad and some circumstances, and then the Hull playing very well and Man United playing sloppy. There's a lot of reasons, and hopefully things will get better.
Yeah, you just kind of hope that this isn't. If you do start seeing, if this performance becomes habit, you know, if we play like this against Ipswich, we play like this against Everton, we play like this against Spurs, then you do have to start questioning a lot more than what I say is due now. But you know, as I said, let's just hope it's just first day nerves, and we come out and we obliterate Ipswich next week, and we can kind of steady the ship a smidge.
I'll get Omar on and see what Omar has to say about this. But Tommy says, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you guys are new. Arky says, United fans gutted only one game of the season. I think it's true, though, that they said it's a long time waiting for Man United to come back on TV, and fans are just disappointed with what's happening.
Hello, Rick.
Welcome, Omar. How you doing?
Not too well after this, but honestly, I'm not even surprised about this result. I'm not even surprised because when I saw the lineup, I was like, why is Cunha starting as a striker? And Santos and Tillemans, for some reason, the two games where we started them both together, they haven't worked. Especially AC Milan and now this game. I was confused. But Luke Shaw needs to go. Luke Shaw needs to go. This guy's a liability as a left back.
Do you know what's quite funny is that it's not, obviously it's not funny, but every single caller, that's the one thing that everyone seems to say and agree on is, and I think Man United will sign a left back.
Hopefully we go for Lewis or something. But honestly, it was depressing watching this match because I was a bit excited about the season, watching United play. However, like United do all the time. They always suck the excitement out of everyone.
I'm starting to
Not
question like
surprised.
why am I so optimistic? Because when I was like obviously not this second in time, but when Man United got the draw of like the first couple of games, you got Hull away, and I was thinking, okay, Hull away just got promoted, lots of new faces, low block, probably difficult team, but I was just confident Man United would be winning this game. That's what I thought. And after when they scored first, I was thinking, okay, right, Man United, nothing stupid. You're going to have to step it up. And when it was 2-0, I was thinking, okay, this is going to have to be one hell of a comeback now. And it was nearly 3-0 when they hit the post. And I was just thinking, this felt like we weren't ready. That's what I'm thinking. It's like, I
Yeah.
know Hull played well, but I get the feeling that United just weren't organised enough for the season. I think last season I was blaming transfers, but you're looking at this season and going, Cunha, Dorgu and Bremo, they're all Bruno Fernandes, the same back four. These players have been there for a long enough time now, and I guess the difference is going to be maybe a few players are not up to match fitness, but you can surely choose players that are. You can surely be putting out at least one stage of the team of the game. We should be dominating it.
Yeah, we should be performing against teams like this. But honestly, we do seem to be struggling against teams who are low block. We always struggle against teams who are low block. The same issue we've had for years.
Yeah, the annoying thing is though, like Jules was saying, Arsenal very fluid. Coventry couldn't handle them, and Man United, I think someone put in somewhere we had 39 crosses. Something. Do you remember that game? Was it Van Gaal or someone? There was one manager where we put in nothing but crosses. And I'm just thinking
Yeah.
you got to like vary it a bit. You got to try and have a bit more of a coherent attack. And I mean that many crosses as well, and how many shots on goal, how many you're actually connecting with Sesko. It's a tactical thing, but I think it's also a bit of a quality thing. Yeah, Moyes, that was it. Moyes versus Fulham. It's like these are not tactics. These are,
Didn't we draw that game 0-0 as well?
honestly, I cannot remember the result for that game.
I'm almost certain it was a 0-0 draw. I could be wrong there, but I just seem to remember that graphic with 0-0 being on the top of it.
I remember seeing like watching a game on Sky, and they put up a graphic saying 100 corners since Man United have scored from a set piece, and we used to be incredibly bad at that. And no, it's uh, any positives you got for the future, Omar. This is your chance to kind of push them out there if you got one. I've hit the wall, unfortunately.
The only positive I can maybe come up with is if we bring in a good left back, who can play short, and another maybe centre back or a striker, because when Sesko is not fit, we have no one. Xerxes didn't even play. I think he's gonna be sold. So we're gonna see what we do in the window. But honestly, like I'm not even surprised because we always struggle against the low block. There's no
Yeah, I
positives
still
to
think
that.
we might sign. I still think we're going to sign another couple of players. I think we're going to get a left back, but I've no idea who. And I think Xerxes is going to leave. It's going to be quite close to the end of the transfer window. But when I read this morning that apparently Villa are interested, so I think there's teams interested in Xerxes. I just get the feeling that maybe Man United are getting offers that are like loan deals with obligation or something. So I get the feeling they want to get money in rather than loan deals. So I'm guessing that might be holding things up a bit. But Jules reckons says players ducking out challenges today, including Bruno Fernandes. So in his mind is saying that's unforgivable, and so yeah, commitment issues. I think people are talking about.
Yeah, there was no fight from the team or energy from the squad at all. I felt like they were just didn't even want to play. So I don't know why. I thought there would be a little bit of effort, a bit of intensity, but they were not. The entire game from United.
What I would say is one person that does want to be a Man United player is Belieber, if you believe the media from the last 12 months. So if there's one player I'm expecting 100% commitment from, it's going to be that guy. But he's not going to be available until October, I think, regarding this one. But If possible, a centre back, but I don't really like Man United's. I don't really like Manchester United. It's like this idea of like we fix the defense next year. You fix the weak parts of your team when you need to fix them, don't you? You don't do like say attack the midfield and like you should be looking at if there's a centre back available. I would definitely look at it and go, maybe I think we need a centre back because I'm not sure Heaven and Yoro are ready to be first team players. That I know people have high expectations, but you need to have someone that is good enough already, don't you? Rather than hopefully they're good enough in the future. And
You know,
maybe on the
I see people online. You're saying something?
yeah, I was going to say MUFC, I think it's J5. Big up to you. Says the midfield will be Belieber plus Mainu or Santos. I get the feeling in Man United's team, I think Belieber will add something that we need in terms of making us more difficult to play through, energy, that sort of physicality as well. And he better be getting stuck into challenges based on what I've seen today, because I think he will definitely need that as well. But do you think is this going to be like the worst performance, do you think? Because it's for us, we're maybe not ready and it's a bit of a pre-season type performance. Or are you worried? Because for me, I'm still predicting we're going to win the next match. And I think this will hopefully be not a one-off, but hopefully we'll see performance levels a lot better next time.
Hopefully. I see people online glazing this transfer window when, to be honest, I don't think it was that good, to be honest. It was, for me, Tielemans, Santos, Baleba, and Darlow were mid at best for me as a transfer window. I thought we would be buying players like Chouameni, Tonali, or Anderson, but we didn't. And it showed that we needed players like that. Because, to be honest, this is one of the rarest cases I see a team starting a new season with a new midfield.
Yeah, I agree. So I'll go through a few of the comments. And Omar, thank you for calling in. Hopefully, when I arrange to do calling shows, I'm kind of expecting Man United to win more games, and these are to be like more what's the word positive streams. But unfortunately, you can't choose the results. But maybe next game against Ipswich, then we'll be talking about a victory. So hopefully, Omar, get back involved then.
All right. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome, Omar. Have a great rest of your day.
Cheers.
So you good to go for a few comments, Dylan, before we head off? And
Yeah.
So S. Madison, welcome to the chat. So if you've got some comments and questions for myself and Dylan, this is your opportunity to get them in. We'll try and go through them as quick as possible. S. Madison said, I saw this coming after Milan. To be honest, Milan was a disaster, and I thought, right, okay, that's a disaster, but it's pre-season. It looks like it's, I don't know. What's your thoughts, Dylan? Like, we kind of saw a bad performance against Milan, and we're expecting better.
Yeah, I think an awful lot was put into that Milan performance just because of who the manager was, to be honest. But yeah, I was kind of expecting the opposite. I was expecting a bit of an answer back, a bit of a bounce back, a bit of a jump up in intensity. But yeah, again, look, it was just completely flat-footed. Now, you can get into the reasons why. I think player fatigue is a big thing. I think match fitness is a big thing. I think our starting 11 today wasn't the best. Now, again, kind of limited with options, so on and so forth. But, I think when Baleba gets into this team, I think it will be raising the floor of it significantly. I think if you have someone like him, like today, who can carry the ball a little bit more, he's a powerful runner. He can just break through a line. If you had someone like that today, it might be a different story. You can get past one of two of lines or of Hull's lines a lot easier. Maybe it wouldn't have taken so long. And then having him next to someone like a Santos or a Manu could have seen a different outcome. But, that's all ifs and maybes. Yeah, I just hope it's a blip, really. You're just kind of hoping that they just came out and they were completely asleep, and it's not going to happen again between now and the end of the season, because you can't afford it to happen again, and you just can't afford to make a habit of performances like this.
No, because I was thinking like Hull City fans will have watched them get through a really long championship season and probably thought, what is going to happen when we step up to the Premier League? And they must be like going home tonight thinking, oh, no problem. If this is like a team that finished third last season, and I saw a lot of people saying that when you're looking at like apparently Balde wants to leave Barcelona. I think they might have some injury issues regarding that one. I think there's a lot of left backs Man United might be looking at, and I get the feeling they'll sign one. And I think there might be a backup striker. But again, I think that the time to judge whether the signings are good or the transfer window has been good for me, I don't know. I would say like, look at them at Christmas, look at halfway through the season. If you're seeing like Santos or Tielemans or Belieber pretty much forced away into the first team, and if Man United are significantly like higher up in terms of points accrued than they were last January or something similar, you can maybe say the transfers are good, but it's difficult to make an assessment at the moment. And it's like it's one game, isn't it? And like MUFC says, Hull were just better than us today, not good. And Rob's saying our defence midfield looked lost, and that is worrying. So again, if you see this week in week out, Rob, it's extremely worrying. If it's a one-off, being if Ipswich play through us and beat us 2-0, then I would be thinking, hang on a minute, what the hell's going on? Because that's two teams promoted. They're not representative of the average quality in the Premier League, but as a one-off, it's just disappointing. Uh, Thoughts and Dylan, like United Side Die says this is one of the worst United squads he's seen in years, and say it's a mismatch players put together with no plan. And do you think it in terms of the squad, like do you think it is a poor squad overall?
I definitely wouldn't go as far as saying it's the worst United squad I've seen. Messy is probably a better way to describe it. There's kind of just bits and pieces all over the place. Like, if you laid out our squad, a lot of the players make sense. It's just, what we saw today, there's a lot of factors in that with availability, match fitness, things like that. And I think thin is probably a better way to describe it. I think it was actually mentioned on commentary in the game today. You have a starting 11 and you probably have 2 or 3 more after that. And then we do start to get very thin and the drop of quality becomes very more apparent. So quality-wise, there's a good kind of basis there, I kind of want to say, but it's lacking in a lot of areas. And as I said, it's just very messily put together. There's good players here, there's good players there, there's gaping holes here. But yeah, it's been, as you said earlier on, Rich, it's an interesting tactic to go down the route of we'll do the forwards this year, we'll do the midfield this year, we'll do the defense next year, things like that. I'd be under the impression that you see a hole in the squad and you try to fill it as soon as you can. But
I think my concern is going to be, like, say if you take the centre back positions, I think Heaven and Yoro could potentially be good first team players in, I don't know, a couple of years. Maybe they could be established Premier League good centre backs. But until that time, Man United are effectively reliant on players that aren't good enough. Like Maguire is decent in a lot of games, but then not great. And the other players are quite injury prone. And it feels a bit like Man United have maybe, instead of going for, if Maguire's going to be replaced, Man United should have a 25-year-old that can go in, something similar in terms of experience and quality of Mark Gahey, something along those lines that can come in, be at least a good solid centre back with lots of experience. And it's like Man United have gone, we're going to jump from someone that's 30 to someone that's 20, or someone that's actually in Aiden Heaven and Yoro's case, getting teenagers in the defence and thinking that it just seems a bit of a strange one. Mr. B, if you want to come on for 5 minutes, I'm going to wrap up in about 5 minutes. But if you want to come on and have your say as a neutral, there's no one backstage, so I can just get you straight on if you are available. And like this is supposed to be a midfield rebuild. If we're I say if we're saying the same thing, Rob, in I don't know, like 5 games time, you'd have to look at it and go, what the hell's going on? But yeah, how long are you going to give it, like Dylan? Like people are questioning the transfer window, and the transfer window will close in about 8 days. How many games would you reckon before you go, right, good window, bad window, or assess it in any sort of way?
I'd probably put it more on how often we see what we would call our best 11 after the window. So, like, I think if you look at our starting 11 today, arguable for right back, I think De Ligt probably comes in one of the spots. I think Martinez comes in, Mainu comes in, Baleba comes in. I think Sesko comes in when he's fully fit. And I think you're probably seeing a different performance then. And when we see that team more regularly, when the new signings, blend in with it, when they get their roles, so on and so forth, I think that's when you can kind of start to comment on it. I don't think you can kind of go after 2 or 3 games and say, well, this didn't work. Especially today with Tielemans and Santos next to each other. This isn't, I don't think they'll be playing next to each other a lot. Personally, I think it'll be one or the other, and Baleba and Mainu might be taking the other space. I'm not sure. I guess kind of opposition depending, but 1 game, 2 games, 3 games is not the time to judge new signings. If you're putting a time frame, I guess probably Christmas, maybe a little sooner, depending on form. But yeah, it's far too early anyway to be jumping to any conclusions. I would say.
Like signings, Baleba won't be available for a while. I'd say give him like at least till Christmas. But I was thinking, someone like Tielemans and someone like Santos, they got Premier League experience. I think if they play, say 10, 15 games, you can have like some sort of idea regarding how they're fitting in. Also, I agree with Makayu and like Dylan said the same thing, that this is probably not going to be Man United's first choice midfield. That's what we're thinking as well. And in terms of integrating them, I think Mainu hadn't come back. He didn't play in the World Cup, but he hadn't come back
Yeah.
long. And Bruno Fernandes, it's just the World Cup has probably messed up a few teams, but at the moment, Man United were scrutinising, so that's what we're looking at. But any final points you want to make, Dylan? But also, big thanks to come on as well, and agreeing to come on before we knew the result was going to be this bad. But
look, I just think you can talk about it all day. Really, I think it kind of just boils down to United didn't have the fight today, which is disgraceful when you're playing with Man United, I have to admit. But I just don't think it's nothing to be massively concerned about yet. Just given the circumstances of everything, United very often we start season slowly. We got done on 2 set pieces. Our biggest set piece defender and attacker is after leaving the club, and his absence was clearly noticed today. We have players coming back from the World Cup. We have players coming back from injury, slowly getting embedded. I think in 2 or 3 games' time, maybe 4 or 5 games' time, we'll have a much clearer idea of where we actually are sitting, rather than just a once-off against a newly promoted side. But yeah, just hopefully this is just a blip.
Yeah, that's what I think people are hoping happens. Bit to Makayu and Ryan as well, saying, we're going to be quite level-headed until we lose to Ipswich. Then we're going to start losing it, I think. But I'll be going on a holiday a few days away, so hopefully I'll be back before the Ipswich game. But we've only got 1 game a week. So people saying it's different at this stage of the season. At this stage of the season, we've only got 1 game a week as well. Mickey says Arsenal didn't need these excuses.
Arsenal are the defending champions.
I was going to say, is there any games today where we might see? This is a shock result, isn't it? Let's be honest. Like, it is a shock.
Yeah.
And is there any other games that we could see any sort of shocks? I'm just thinking, probably not today. Actually, is there?
No, not really. I think Brentford with Spurs, I guess. But to be honest, Brentford are probably the favourites in that, given how Spurs have been the last 2 years.
I was thinking tomorrow. No, there's no real.
Not really, no. Fulham might get a go on Chelsea if Chelsea starts slow.
No, the only thing I've got is like thinking we did do so well, but the frustrating thing is we finished last season with loads of momentum, and I was just hoping we could carry that on to the next season. And like it's one thing. I do think we'll finish the season. Like I do think we'll get stronger, and once the signings, you got some team cohesion and balance, we'll do better. But I'm just wondering whether is this going to be the same situation? Is it effectively the same story as last year, where the first 5 games we get players back and up to speed, and then by that point, Arsenal are like, I don't know, too far ahead. Like, I'm not saying we're in a title race, but are we going to be giving effectively a head start to some of these top teams? I do think that's going to happen. Unfortunately, it's annoying, but yeah. Madison says lucky finish top 5. I'm still saying Champions League football qualification until I see significant number of games, and that's again that's just a preseason prediction. Before we go, Dylan, what's your preseason prediction for Man United? I'll say it's not preseason anymore, is it? What's your prediction for United this year? We've seen 1 game, but does that change it at all?
No, not really. I've kind of always said throughout the summer I'd be very happy with comfortably being in top 4 and just going deep in a couple of trophies. I'm not overly concerned about silverware at the moment. But pick up a domestic cup here or there would be great. I just want to see us kind of build on what we did last year. We were arguably one of the better teams in the league throughout when Carrick was appointed. So I'm just kind of hoping that we can build from that, go a little bit deeper in the cup competitions, maybe a couple of good days out in Europe, and see where we go from there.
Yeah, and sorry, it says we've just changed the engine. We might not have been realistic with it enough. It's the reason City, Liverpool, and Chelsea faltered, and say it's a significant change. And I guess this one, maybe the engine believer will come in and make a difference. But we're unfortunately we're going to have to wait a bit of time before we see that as well. One final point I want to ask you, Dylan. Sorry about some of the loaded questions, but somebody posted somewhere. Where was the comment? They said something like, "This is interim issue again with Ollie." Where was that comment? And saying it's different being an interim manager. And how many games do you give Michael Carrick before we have any sort of conversation? I'm not suggesting we're going to be, saying get rid of him. But what I'm saying is, in terms of like assessing him. So somebody said he was interim manager, now he's permanent manager. I mean, I'm not saying it changes too much, but people will compare him with Ollie. It just seems to be, I don't know, something I can't stop people doing that. To be honest.
No. I wouldn't have any concerns over Carrick at all yet. I really don't. Like, as I said earlier on, I don't think today was anything tactical. I don't think he could have really done too much on the line. The players just weren't up for it. You can argue about his starting 11. You can argue about his subs. I think he was very limited in what he could do. I think the Ahmad injury probably put a kink in the works for the starting 11. And as I said, I'd put this a lot more on the players than I would on Michael Carrick today. So my opinion on him doesn't change at all. But again, as we've been saying, if this becomes habit, if this becomes what we're expecting to see, then obviously you start having these conversations. But for now, I wouldn't even be speaking it into the air at the moment. There's no need to be questioning anything about him at the moment.
No, I think the main thing is they should give Michael Carrick the best possible players to get the job done.
Yeah.
But again, if it doesn't happen, the owners will think nothing of replacing him. But it's not ideal for the club. I'll say that. But anyway, guys, I'm going to be heading off to get some food. Big up to Dylan. Also, massive thank you to everybody that came on, had their say. So lots of different callers, and one, I think actually a new caller as well, and joined earlier today, which is good. And we will do a call-in show after the Ipswich match. I will be away midweek, so I don't think there'll be any midweek streams or call-in shows unless G Wolf wants to do one and talk about the war chest that he's found for Man United to buy players at the end of the window. Who knows? We got this one. Apparently, Bristol City scored a really good goal, so it might be worth looking if you want to see a goal. And as Man United fans, you may not have seen one you want to watch so far today. But big up to you, Dylan. Hopefully, speak to you very soon as well. And everyone in the chat, hopefully I might be able to do 1 or 2 streams before I go away, and then when I come back, we'll be going straight into the Ipswich match. But thanks everyone for watching, and cheers, Dylan. Thanks for maintaining some positivity in life of. This is Man United. Unfortunately, it feels a little bit like. Go on, RK. Go on, RK. Hopefully we beat Ipswich, and then I'll be really interested to see if the chat changes too much. I think for some people it won't change, but you never know. It's one game.
It's a much
see
different
3 or 4.
conversation the next time.
Yeah. One thing is I've got an extra hour free, so I don't have to watch Match of the Day tonight. So, now take it easy, guys, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys.